Imagine you are floating in the open ocean. The water is dark and cold beneath you. Something massive moves below. 40 feet long, 12,000 pounds. It can detect your outline from 100 meters away using nothing but sound. It has killed great white sharks, humpback whales, and blue whales. It is the most effective predator this planet has ever produced, and it is looking directly at you. Here is the part that no scientist fully understands. It doesn't touch you. It never has. In all of recorded human history, no wild orca has ever killed a person. Not once. That should not be possible. This animal has no natural predators. It has the intelligence of a primate and the power of a freight train. It has been documented hunting animals 10 times its size. And yet it looks at you, slow, fragile, barely swimming, and decides to leave you alone. Most people assume we just don't taste right. But that's not quite right. The real answer is far stranger than anything evolution could have planned. Stay until the end, because the last part will change how you think about the invisible rules running your life right now. Let's start with what this animal actually is, because most people have completely the wrong picture. When you hear the words killer whale, you probably imagine something mindless and brutal, a machine of teeth, a monster from a horror film. That image is wrong. Orcas, Orcinus orca, are not whales at all. They are the largest members of the dolphin family, and they are, by almost every measure, the most dominant predator in the ocean. They are faster than most sharks. They are stronger than most whales. They operate in coordinated group hunts with the precision of a military strike team. Researchers at the University of British Columbia, studying orca hunting patterns since the 1970s, documented pods working together to create waves that knock seals off ice floes. Not one animal acting alone, a team, with a strategy, with roles. They have been recorded flipping great white sharks onto their backs, a trick that induces a paralytic trance in the shark, then extracting its liver with surgical precision and leaving the rest untouched. Great whites flee entire ocean regions when orcas arrive. Let that sit with you for a second. The animal that haunts your nightmares is afraid of this one, and orcas eat almost everything. Fish, seals, dolphins, sea lions, sharks, stingrays, sea turtles. They have even been documented hunting moose. Yes, moose, as the animals swim between islands in the Pacific Northwest. They have been observed cooperating to kill blue whales, the largest animals on Earth. They do it as a team, taking turns exhausting the whale over hours until it can no longer resist. So when you are floating in the ocean, small, slow, barely keeping yourself above water, you are theoretically the easiest meal on the menu. And they know you are there. Their echolocation is precise enough to detect the outline of a fish the size of your hand from 100 meters away. They have heard your splashing. They have scanned your body with sound. They know exactly what you are, and they still leave you alone. But here's what makes this even stranger. In 2020, a group of orcas near the Strait of Gibraltar began ramming and disabling sailboats. Dozens of incidents over several years. Rudders snapped, boats dead in the water. And yet, not a single sailor was harmed. Every interaction stopped short of the humans. Even when sailors fell into the water, the orcas left. In 2005, a diver named Robert Pitman off the California coast watched in real time as a pod of transient orcas, the ecotype that specifically hunts marine mammals, circled him in open water. He had nowhere to go. They had him completely surrounded. They looked at him. Then they swam away. This is not an accident. This is a choice. But why? The first explanation scientists reached for was the simple one. Maybe we don't taste right. Orcas are famously selective eaters. Different pods, called ecotypes, specialize in completely different prey. Some eat only salmon. Some eat only marine mammals. Some specialize in sharks. And here is the critical part. These food preferences are not hardwired by genetics. They are learned, passed from mother to calf, taught through repetition and reinforcement over years. Researcher Paul Spong, working with British Columbia orca populations through the 1970s and 1980s, was among the first to confirm that orca pods behave almost like distinct cultures. Each group has its own dialect, its own unique set of calls that no other pod uses, its own hunting techniques, its own food preferences, its own rules, and apparently, its own understanding of humans. Here is the idea that keeps marine biologists awake at night. Somewhere along the line, possibly thousands of years ago, orcas learned that humans are not prey, and they taught that to their calves. Who taught it to their calves? Who taught it to theirs? Across generations, across centuries. The rule held. This is called cultural transmission, and it means the reason you are floating alive in the ocean right now might not be biology. It might be a decision made before your great-great-great-grandparents were born, by an animal with a brain larger than yours. But that's only half the story, because the question is not just why they don't eat us, it's what they actually think of us. And this is where it gets strange in a different way. Multiple researchers have documented orcas not just ignoring humans, but seeking them out. In the early 2000s, a young male orca nicknamed Luna became separated from his pod in Nootka Sound, British Columbia. Alone, he began approaching boats, nudging, playing, following kayakers, surfacing near swimmers. Wildlife officials had to warn people to stay away. Not because Luna was dangerous, but because the contact was so frequent and so gentle that people were disrupting his chances of rejoining his pod. There are dozens of documented cases of orcas swimming alongside free divers, nudging underwater cameras, bringing fish and dropping them near boats. Behavior some researchers cautiously describe as gift-giving. Others describe it as curiosity, the same investigative behavior orcas display with unfamiliar objects in their environment. But some researchers think it's something more deliberate than that. Orcas have what neuroscientists call spindle neurons. These are a specific type of brain cell linked to self-awareness, empathy, and complex social cognition. Humans have them. Great apes have them. And orcas have them, in greater concentration than any other mammal on the planet. This means when an orca looks at you in the water, it is not looking at a generic object. It is looking at you, recognizing you as something specific, categorizing you as something that does not belong in the prey column. The question is what category you do belong in, and here is the part of this story that scientists still cannot fully explain. In captivity, orcas have attacked and killed humans multiple times. The most well-known case, Tilikum, held at SeaWorld, was involved in the deaths of 3 people across his years in captivity. Tilikum was captured from the wild at approximately age 2. Separated from his pod, from his family, from his culture, placed in a concrete tank that, relative to the ocean he came from, was the size of a bathtub. Wild orcas, never once. Captive orcas, repeatedly. What does that tell you? It tells you that an animal raised inside its culture, taught its rules, its language, its shared understanding of the world, behaves one way. An animal stripped of all of that behaves a completely different way. The rule that says, leave the humans alone. It is not written into their DNA. It lives in their culture, and culture requires community to survive. This is not unique to orcas. Researchers studying elephant populations decimated by poaching found something deeply disturbing. When poachers killed the elder matriarchs, the females who held the group's knowledge and history, the young elephants left behind became erratic, aggressive toward each other, aggressive toward other species. The behavioral rules that governed the herd collapsed when the transmitters of those rules were gone. The culture died, and the behavior changed. Humans have seen the same pattern in ourselves throughout history. Communities fractured by war or displacement lose their unspoken codes faster than anyone expects. The rules that seemed permanent turn out to be fragile. They needed people to carry them. And this is the moment where this story stops being about an animal. Think about the rules governing your life right now. The things you know are off limits without ever having been explicitly taught why. The moral instincts that feel like they came from inside you. The invisible agreements between you and the people around you that hold everything together. Where did those come from? Not from your genes, from the people who raised you, from the culture you were born into, from 1,000 small moments of transmission you don't even remember. Passed down from people who passed it down, from people who are long gone. You are carrying rules made by strangers who died before you existed. And those rules shape what you do, what you won't do, and who you think you are, just like the orca. So here is what is actually happening when you float in the ocean and the largest predator on Earth swims past you without making contact. You are not being spared because you are too small to bother with. You are not being spared because you taste wrong. You are being spared because of a decision made possibly thousands of years ago that has been passed down through orca generations the same way culture passes through human ones. A law no one voted on. Written by no one anyone remembers. That still holds today. And you are living the same story. You follow rules you didn't choose, inherited from people you never met, governing choices you think are yours. The ocean's deadliest predator refuses to kill us. Not because it can't, because it was taught not to. And the most unsettling question isn't why the orca spares you. The most unsettling question is this: what are the rules running you, and who made them?